Alright, so this is going to be my first attempt at motovlogging. Well, the craziest thing is, I don't even have a mic that's set up to my GoPro. What you're hearing right now is actually coming through my Cardo headset. Feels good to be back on the Tracer. I haven't been on in the last few days because I had a nail in my front and rear tire. So I just got the new Michelin Road 6s on there. Feel really great so far. Curious to see how this audio is going to come out because, like I said, I don't have an external mic. I got a GoPro chest mount, and then I'm using a app on my phone that connects to the Cardo to sync my voicing together. I moved down to Florida. I did not think I would be riding a motorcycle here, but now that I have a motorcycle, I ride this almost every single day. There's not a day when I can't ride it, unless we get a hurricane. Also, I don't know if you can see this, but I'm riding with my Icon Airflight stealth helmet with the tinted visor on it. And the visibility is pretty good. I can actually see at like in the evening like this. You know, it's not like it's super dark. It's got a nice tint to it. I ended up getting a second GoPro because I really like this mount right here. I like that front-facing view, but I also like being able to have the camera to see, you know, what I'm looking at. So maybe I'll end up getting a second GoPro. Oh, that guy works at my dealership. So I get people that ask me or that are concerned why I ride a motorcycle in Florida. The big thing is a lot of people will complain about other drivers here. Where I live in Fort Myers, it is a busier area. But here's what I'll say about motorcycles, and I know motorcycle riders are gonna hate this, but if we get into an accident 90% of the time, it's gonna be our fault. And the reason is because we're doing something we shouldn't be doing. There's gonna be times where you're speeding off the light, or you're lane splitting, or you're just doing something that you know you shouldn't be doing, or you're following too close to someone. And I get impatient when I ride. People get impatient when they drive. People are impatient in general. I always like to try and cut around things and just to save a couple minutes here or there to get wherever I'm going. But to be honest, if I were to get into an accident, something like that would be my fault. I mean, it's me doing something that's dumb. We could be hostile here. And we've got some older people that live here. And, you know, they're definitely not the best drivers. There are a lot of factors that play into it. And you also have to consider, in Florida, there's also a lot of motorcycle riders. If someone were to say, well, hey, there's a lot of motorcycle accidents in the state of Florida, well, yeah, because that's because we have a lot of riders here. The more people you have on the road, the more cars, the more motorcycles, the more problems you're going to have. However, what I've experienced, people I know who've crashed or people who've had a lot of close calls, it's something that they probably could have prevented. A friend of mine the other day had a close call, and he got it on his 360 camera. He was doing about 110 miles an hour, and a car in front of him, the tire actually flew off the wheel, and it rolled into his lane. Now, if he wouldn't have been going so fast, he probably wouldn't have been that close to the car because he was splitting right behind him to get into the other lane. But something like that was such a close call. If that tire would have hit him, it would have been over. You're going 110 miles an hour. I mean, yeah, he has gear on, but 110 miles an hour. That tire's rolling at about 60, 70 miles an hour towards your bike. No. So if he would have slowed down and been cruising like normal, could something like that still happen? Yes, but the chances would have been much less. The close calls that I've had, it's because I've done stupid stuff. It's, you know, me going too fast, or me following behind someone, or me trying to lane split. A lot of times it ends up on me. Now, there are people that still pull out in front of me, like this car. That car just started merging into my lane a little bit. But I'm aware, I'm paying attention to that stuff. Another thing, too, is sometimes we get too comfortable on these motorcycles. We don't pay attention to what we're doing. You have to assume that you're invisible on these roads and no other other cars can see you. Actually, one of the reasons I got a bigger displacement bike is because I didn't feel comfortable on my 300 for a lot of the times that I was cruising at about 55 miles an hour, because if I need to get out of the way, that bike doesn't have enough power to get out of the way. A lot of times I'll ride in a lower gear at a higher RPM so that I have that extra power to get out of the way if I need to. Because like I said, cars, they can't see you. We have to make ourselves aware, and we have to ride like we're invisible to them. One thing that Florida does have going for them, this is a really flat state. the roads, there's really not a whole lot of like hidden corners and turns and hills. So a lot of cars, you know, they can see you coming. And people in Florida, for the most part, should be aware that motorcycles ride year-round here. So this isn't something like up north where you may go riding for a couple months of the year and the rest of the months you're not riding. Cars forget that they share the roads with motorcycles. Also, we've got bike lanes on the side of the roads here, at least where I live, where cars are also always looking for road bikers, jogging or riding on the side of the roads here. This glove keeps coming undone. Unbelievable, man. Yeah, I love cruise control. Aside from the drivers in Florida, one thing I do not like about riding here is the amount of bugs that hit my windscreen, especially when I go to the Everglades. Anywhere close to water, and Florida, it's surrounded by water. Another benefit to riding in Florida is the roads are actually really nice here. So, coming from Michigan where I used to live, the roads sucked. There were potholes everywhere, and the winters destroyed the roads. And down here, well, we don't get snow, and these roads stay in really nice condition. One thing I do have to keep my eye out for is animal crossings, which you kind of have to do that everywhere. Florida has a lot of wild pigs. That's probably my biggest fear of hitting something. I don't see a lot of deer out here, but wild pigs and panthers are I'd probably say the most common things. So if you can avoid the crazy drivers that Florida gets, and you can avoid the little bit of wildlife, which honestly where I live, I haven't even seen any wildlife run out in front of me yet, then it's a great place. I love riding here. I mean, we get to ride year round. You can't beat that. And we get amazing sunsets. So to wrap all this up, I would say it's just as safe to ride a motorcycle in Florida as it would be anywhere else. The pros of riding here and the cons of riding here really balance each other out. Hey, buddy! I've rode in Michigan at the time, and I've rode in Florida for about 9 months now. And it feels the same. It really does. I feel safer here because I have better weather conditions. Like I mentioned, the roads, just the way that the land is developed here, I feel safer on a motorcycle than I did up there. My final opinion, yes, Florida is a great place to ride. It's a safe place to ride, just as safe as anywhere else. So I use this guy to go on through. Yeah. Doesn't drop on my head though. Leave.
Perfect. I'm changing who I am. I'm made